Hey there, race fans. If you've been looking for a water cooler NASCAR podcast that goes about like you'd have conversation with your own friends, then look no further. Let me introduce you to the last podcast you'll ever need for NASCAR. Here's the GrandStand Boyz.
Welcome to the first episode of the GrandStand Boyz. This is going to be a weekly podcast by three random dudes that love NASCAR. We're going to tell us the truth. We don't have any stake in it. We can tell us what we think about the drivers. We can tell you who we like, who we don't like. There's no politically correctness here.
This episode of GrandStand Boyz is brought to you by Rescue Lock and Key. For all your lock or key issues, call Rescue Lock and Key.
My name's Brad. I am one of the three founders of the podcast. Born and raised East Tennessee, been to NASCAR races ever since I was a kid. From Bristol. I think I've been to over 100, so I average 6 to 8 races a year now. NASCAR is my favorite sport, whether that's good or bad. I don't care. That is my favorite sport. I just love it. I love to talk about it. I eat, breathe, drink NASCAR. Everything about it, the culture, the T-shirts, the hats, the memorabilia, it's my thing. So we're going to make it fun. We're just going to comedy, cut jokes. It's going to be open forum. We're going to make fun of each other, make fun of the races. So next up, I got my dude, Dave Lairdman. He's going to give you a little background on his NASCAR fandom. He maybe not as the biggest fan, but he's learning.
What's going on, guys? David from Kannapolis, North Carolina, Old Dale Trail. Pretty much everybody here lives, breathes Dale Earnhardt. We got a statue downtown. Everybody took their prom pictures there, at least when I was in school.
With their Wheaties box.
Right. As far as NASCAR goes, follow it. I'm kind of more of a novice as far as the fan thing goes. Probably been to 5 races in my life, and I don't remember either one of them. I think the earliest I got into one was probably lap 100. I was too busy pre-gaming out in the parking lot. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Throw it over to old Jeff.
Hey guys, I'm Stack. I'm born and raised just south of Charlotte, probably, 25, 30 minutes. Grew up watching NASCAR. Some of my earliest memories on Sunday with Pops, sitting down watching the race. Back in the day, if you ever left the house, we used to tape the race. That's how into NASCAR we were back in the day when I was young, and kind of maintained it. Been to Bristol, been to Charlotte. Got a lot of racetracks still want to go to, but
Martinsville.
Oh, been to Martinsville. Damn sure been to Martinsville. That was a nice birthday trip. Rush and Mama Rush took me up there. But yeah, man, I love NASCAR. I love following it. Love the personalities. Love the business side of it as well.
So getting into this, let's start out with the hottest topic, which has to be the next gen car, which I guess we can call Gen 7 now because it's technically here. It's not the next gen. It's not the car tomorrow. Stacks, what is your opinion on this spec car?
So a couple things that I do not like about it. I don't like the fact that we have one lug nut now. I do not like that. For a safety standpoint, I reckon that's probably a good thing because some folks don't like to tighten them. You look at the sheets after the races, and
they play with their nuts too much. They play with their nuts too much.
Crew chiefs are getting fined a lot of money for not finishing their nuts off, after races, and it seems to be very habitual. I hate the placement of the new numbers. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. It looks like crap," but I understand the marketing side of it. That's a very valuable side of the race car. I was up in the air about it because the drivers were up in the air about it early on, really, especially later on toward the end of 2021, because they didn't know anything and they're the ones driving them. But I guess as time has progressed and the testing's gone on this winter, the drivers seem to be okay. I haven't heard anybody come out and openly say too much negative, had too many negative remarks about it.
Well, they're not going to piss off NASCAR either.
I mean, some of those guys don't care though.
Yeah,
You
so
know, Kyle Busch will come out and
going
say,
back to the lug nut thing, so you said it's one lug nut, so is it like, if I'm not mistaken, Formula One cars are like that, it's just one big lug
Yeah.
in the center? Is
Yeah,
that what they're going to?
most big racing are like that. IndyCar, F1, these IMSA 24-hour Daytona stuff. It's one lug nut because apparently it's where they switched to the all aluminum wheel. It was not safe to run 5 lugs. I've heard numbers from teams that spent $80,000 a year on lug nuts because once they use one of the lug nuts that on the 5 lug, once they use them, they're done. So these are reusable. It's supposed to save money, which is one thing about the car. I'll get into it a little bit. I'm a little more optimistic than Stacks about it. I'm still up in the air about the numbers. I understand the marketing aspect of it because they shortened the rear quarter panel, so they needed more room for the sponsors. Apparently they ran all kinds of they did all kinds of surveys with sponsors saying how much value it would bring to the team. I don't like the aspect that it took out the creativity from the other teams. Like the big teams. I mean, some people call it cheating, some people call it innovating. That's what made NASCAR. That's what I enjoy about it. What you get away with.
Spoken like a true Jimmy Johnson fan.
Hey, Jimmy was my dude. I mean, at the end of the day, I only pull for Chevrolets, and we can get to Toyota in another day, another time. But that kind of takes it away. Like I said, the number placement, I'm still up in the air about. I don't think it's going to bring teams closer together as they think. Hendricks, Gibbs, Haas are still going to be the 3 big swinging dicks in the cracker factory. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to have the most. They're still going to have the most money to do it. They're still going. I mean, Penske too. Yeah, I forget about Penske. Yeah, they'll be up there. I mean, they have all the factory backing, but they also have the most money, the most resources to get around these cars quicker than others. It might bring some of the big, classic teams like Richard Childress and Roush Fenway a little closer. I mean, I could see Tyler Reddick winning a race this year. I could see Brad Keselowski maybe winning multiple races this year, but they're not going to be as consistent as still the big teams. I don't think it's going to do what everybody says it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but like I said, it's up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. And you're not going to be able to tell after the Daytona 500. You're not going to be able.
You ain't going to tell after the clash. I can tell you that because they're just going to beat and bang on each other for a quarter mile. But,
no,
we won't know really until we get through that first 25, that first quarter of the races, I think.
So they released the way the track's going to be built for the Clash?
It's already built. It's already built, dude.
Oval?
It's kind of like Bowman Gray, if you know what I'm talking about.
It is a quarter mile oval.
Okay.
Inside of a football stadium in the LA Coliseum. And
just take a bit.
Beat and bang on each other the entire time.
And it's going to be entertaining. Like they're going to go out there and say, "Hey guys, put on the show. We'll take care of you," kind of thing. I mean, look at it this way: they're doing heat races like a small town short track, but your boy Ice-T's playing at halftime. Doing
Ice Cube or Ice T?
I get them mixed up. They're both drinks. I don't know. He put one in the Ice Tea. I can't remember. It's one whoever's from NWA. Who's that? Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's Ice Cube, I think.
So they're doing kind of like the other sports, trying to get outdoor, like bring in a different stadium type deal.
Well, they're just trying this out. It's kind of like an exhibition race, kind of like the All-Star race at Bristol a couple years ago when they ran that god-awful underglow, and they moved the numbers back. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Oh, yeah.
It was during COVID.
Miserable.
I was there, and the underglow was by far one of the most disappointing because I was all excited. I mean, I was 15 beers deep. I was pumped, ready to watch. I was like, they're going to have underglow under the car, and it was just on the back bumper, and they made it uniform. So, like, if you had a Toyota, it was red. If you had a Chevrolet, it was gold. If it was Ford, it was blue. It was awful. But
it's like they watched Tokyo Drift, and it just ain't work out right.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I like the aspect of them taking a chance on the Clash. I think it's going to be very entertaining. The problem I'm going to run into is they're trying to get new fans, and we all know this is not going to be like a normal NASCAR race. It's not going to be like a Coke 600 or a Southern 500. It's not going to be anything like that. But I mean, I like the West Coast idea. Apparently, they have a ton of Hispanic fans out on the West Coast. Bring it to them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at it with what they did going down to Mexico City and kind of branching out. I know when I was a kid, like 96, they went out to Japan and raced.
Yeah, I remember that.
there's some good stuff that they're doing. And right now, I mean, strike while the iron's hot. If LA is a big market. I mean, right now there's a football game on television right now in LA. And put it in the Coliseum, which is a storied place, and you've got the biggest stars racing there. If you want to really broaden your fan base and market it, and maybe potentially get some more sponsors and maybe more manufacturers in the sport. And
word on the street, Dodge 2024, word on the street.
Well, they're gonna race Chargers.
I mean, I don't know. Apparently, or it might be even a little later. I don't know if you heard about the hybrid push that they're trying to get in NASCAR. A lot of manufacturers are waiting to go hybrid, and by 2025, I think is what the year. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
We're gonna have battery powered NASCAR.
It's gonna be Teslas in NASCAR.
I don't know. I mean, give me a plaid Tesla out there.
I mean, they could probably use some of Elon's money, but that's crazy.
I mean, that's probably what they're shooting for, is get that Tesla money in it.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that ruin the sport though?
I mean, they're trying to move
motor
it forward.
Sport.
Right.
It is a motor sport.
I mean, they got to do something though. If at the end of the day, I'm not saying it feels like it's dying, but it's nowhere near the heyday of the late 90s, early 2000s.
No, but it has recovered from the mid 2000s.
The car tomorrow killed it.
Absolutely, it was miserable, and they were still coming back from senior dying too, and there was a lot of people who lost interest in it from 2001 to really 2008ish. I feel like that was when it really fell off. But we shall see. We'll find out.
Dave, what kind of questions you got, since you're kind of, I would say, the casual fan of the three of us?
Well, the new car is interesting. Just the differences between what the old car, last year's car, and this year's car. What's going to be the difference between the two? Is the performance-wise, is it going to make everything more, I guess, competitive if everybody's going to be running the same stuff? Is it, Hendrick Motorsport's going to have a big advantage over the small guys with less money. It'd be interesting to see how that pans out. And then the drivability of it, the pit stops. I mean, you got one lug now that's going to decrease the time in that. So there's going to be a little bit more strategy, I think, as far as that goes. It'd be kind of interesting to see how that pans out. I was just reading an article that said there was like 39 fines last year, I think, just due to lug nut violations.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're cutting that out, that's just I think that might change things pretty drastically. Just so minor.
A lot of those fines from last year was teams saying, we don't give a damn. Like, it's the last pit stop of the race. I need that extra 1/10 of a second to gain on pit road. Well, like, we'll take the $10,000 fine if I can win the damn race.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But hell, I know everybody now is going to have to. I mean, you think about it, with one lug nut, there's no reason you shouldn't get 4 tires every pit stop. So I mean, the strategy is like, I mean, I reckon you could save about 5, maybe 4 seconds by getting just right sides. But I mean, is it really worth it? 4 seconds for 4 tires,
Well, with that 18-inch rim, it's a brand new tire. They're not really sure how it's going to wear either. Is it going to wear faster than it used to be? It's got a bigger contact patch. It's going to have more grip. Is it going to wear faster, or is it going? I guess a lot depends on the compound that Goodyear brings too. Right. But like, that's questions up in the air. I mean, how quick is the tire fall off going to be? Because that's when drivers have to be drivers, when the tire falls off.
Mm-hmm. If they don't throw phantom cautions every 25, 30 laps.
I mean, Jimmy Johnson's gone, so there's not going to be any more phantom cautions.
Come on now. Yeah,
I've seen Almirola's retired too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a bum. He was a bum, so it didn't matter.
Whoever that guy is.
I mean, we can talk about it. Once Kevin Harvick retires, Stuart Haas has a bunch of driver lineups that are bums.
I wouldn't go that far.
Cole Custard, bum.
I like Briscoe. And
Briscoe can't. I mean, he hasn't proved himself. He was a rookie last year, so obviously hasn't proved himself. But at the end of the day, bum. Eric Almirola, he was a bum.
Briscoe had enough guts to wreck Hamlin and lie to his face about it. Okay, so
if he had enough guts, he'd have wrecked him and said, "Hell." If he had the guts, he'd said, "Hell yeah, I wrecked you on purpose." You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
If he had the guts, hell yeah, I wrecked you on purpose. You pushed me in the grass, son bitch. Right. I'm going to wreck you.
After the yellow flag, or after Briscoe got black flagged? I mean, and that was at Indianapolis. So I mean, I like the Briscoe kid. I mean, they're going to be fine. You know, and there's still a learning curve. Stuart Haas is not really that. They're not that established in a sense of, you know,
Well,
getting all the bugs out.
since they switched to Ford, it kind of slowed them down a little
Right.
bit at the end of the day. I mean, they were tied up with Hendricks when they were Chevrolet.
Mhm.
Then they dropped to Ford, and I guess it was kind of them, and I'm sure they probably had a little bit of help from Penske, but so I don't know. What is y'all's predictions on the gambling side this year? It's just, you know, preseason championship. Obviously, we know Kyle Larson's in the lead. Who is like a dark horse that you think that you could put some money on to, like, say, make the chase? Put some money on the bet to make the chase. Who do you think that would be?
See
I
if we
mean,
can pull up the odds and see what they are.
pull them up. I mean, I think if you're affiliated with Hendrick, if you're affiliated with Penske, with Gibbs, you can go ahead and say any one of those drivers. There is a very good chance that they are going to make the chase.
What do you think about the whole Michael Jordan and Bubba Watson?
That's where I was going. Bubba Watson.
thing coming in?
No, that's what's kind of like. I can't believe I'm saying this is a dark horse, but I could see Kurt Busch making it.
I don't think that's a dark horse. I think with his drive ability and you know, look at what he did. He did it with Front Row, and won some races and really competed there. And with Stewart, he's been with is it Stewart Haas or was it Chip Ganassi he was with?
Both. He was with both. So he was at Stewart Haas in the 41 car, and then he moved to the one for Ganassi.
And he competed last year, made the chase last year. I mean, obviously didn't wind up the way he wanted it to. I from a marketing standpoint, what Jordan did, what those guys did, putting the 23 on Bubba Wallace's car and the 45 on Kurt's car.
What other number could you put on it? Yeah, it would have been a stupid move not to.
Absolutely genius though, because it just worked out the way that you in your head you're like, man, I hope they picked the 45 since obviously it was one of Jordan's numbers, and
right,
they did. It was perfect. Genius. But
here's your dark horse for the whole championship to win the whole thing. New car, young guy. I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure it's pretty good odds if you can look it up, for William Byron. That's my dark horse.
That's to win
to win the championship. He hasn't proved himself a lot over the past 3. He's still very young.
He and Bowman raced extremely.
They got him fourth. You got Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Hamlin, and then Byron.
So that's not a dark horse. Let me retract that statement. Who do you think, Stacks? Who's your dark horse then? Bowman?
I don't think Bowman's a dark horse either. I think he's affiliated with Hendrick. They put somebody in the Hendrick car. I think that they have a chance to win any Sunday, and ultimately win the whole thing. I'm a Christopher Bell guy. I like Bell. I think he's a really good driver. And he's got Gibbs horsepower. He's got the Gibbs, he's got Gibbs car.
They got him at plus 2,000.
No, so there you go.
He was a rookie last year. He's raced. He's won at every level he's been at. I'm not going to say he's going to win the whole thing, but I think that he's going to compete to be in the chase and make a quality run. He proved it last year. He won, it was second or third race of the year he went out there and won.
Yeah, he won the Daytona road course.
There you go. He won the road course. So, Bell, you look at Busher. Busher raced extremely well for Roush last year at a lot of tracks. Now, he raced extremely well at Daytona and Talladega, which is what he does. He does well.
Cody Ware could run well there if he's got a car.
What about Suarez?
No.
Look, Trackhouse is on the up and up too, and they've got the money to put into it with Pitbull and what those guys are doing. Man, they've got money, and they're going to continue to get better and better.
Here's why
him and Austin Dillon are about the same too.
Here's why Suarez doesn't have a chance. He drove for Gibbs, stinker. Drove for Haas, stinker. Now he's with the Trackhouse, which is pretty much an RCR team. They run out of the same shop as RCR. Obviously, I think they're growing, and he's a good driver. He's not a championship driver. That's just the bottom line. He's not a championship driver.
I'm gonna tell you, an interesting play this year is going to be what Colleague does. I'm very interested to see what Colleague does.
They're not that impressive in the Xfinity series either.
They just won a title, though. You know what I mean? I mean,
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Oh no, well they should have. Allmendinger should have won it. Especially as hot as he was. Hemrick wound up winning it, but
Yeah, well, he's driving for Colleague this year, which was I think
Oh,
was
is
a
it?
Yeah, he moved to the 10 car. I think it's a terrible move to go from a Gibbs car to a Colleague car. I mean, I respect Colleague, but they're not. I mean, they're good at the road courses. They're good at the super speedways. They're not good at your cookie cutter Texas, Atlanta, Michigan, places like that. You're just not.
So if you had to rank your teams, your top 5 racing teams,
Go ahead,
what
Stacks.
you got?
Go from fifth to first.
No, I'll go from top. I'm gonna go from first to fifth.
Okay.
Just because Hendrick, I mean, with what Kyle Larson did last year, probably I think it was tied for the most wins in the modern era, at least.
Jeff Gordon had 13.
Jimmy Johnson he have 13?
Jimmy Johnson had 13 too.
Well, Larson went up with what, 10?
10.
I mean, that's in today's NASCAR. To me, that's unheard of with the amount of talent and the amount of money that's put into these cars. So I think you go Hendrick. I think you go Gibbs behind them with Hamlin and Busch, and then Penske. And Penske's it's not. You could pretty much flip 2 and 3 between Gibbs and Penske. And then fourth, I think you look at RCR.
Above Haas? Ooh. Haas stunk last year, but the year before that, Kevin Harvick had the most wins.
Exactly, but last year he was struggling to be in the top 15 from week to week. I mean, he struggled heavily. And you have Tyler Reddick, who raced really well. He had that stretch of about 10, 15 races in the middle of the year toward the end, wound up making the chase. Didn't make much of it, but that's a good young driver. He's a dirt guy.
Yep.
So he'll sling it sideways like Larson will. I like Reddick a lot. He's a guy that I pull for on the side just because I like how he drives. He runs the high line, does that. So I think RCR's on the way up. Austin Dillon's got to make something happen at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting on him to make that jump. Like we talked about, you can't just race good at Daytona and Talladega. And win fuel mileage races. You got to actually outrace some guys.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's my top 4 right there. And then fifth, you could always look at some wild cards. You got the Trackhouse guys who've been racing good from place to place, and you're going to have Colleague who's going to go out there and try to win races. It's really the top 4, top 5, race teams, and then everybody.
I mean, I agree. I no disrespect to Papaw's boy, but Tyler Reddick's going to be the rejuvenation of RCR. Bottom line, he's going to have to be. I mean, Austin Dillon stinks. Ty Dillon, let's be honest, stinks. I mean, he's won the Coke 600 fuel mile. He won the Daytona 500. Pressure, but McDowell won the 500 last year. So
I'd like to see Ty Dillon in some equipment, in some of like Austin Dillon's equipment, which I know he's raced from here to there, in some RCR stuff, but never really full time, I don't believe.
Well, he was in
him get a shot.
So you don't think when he drove for Jermaine Racing in the Geico car that car wasn't built at the RCR shop and threw on a trailer and rolled out? Come on now.
For the most part, at least with the motor.
Well, that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what's kind of happening this year with Austin Dillon, or Ty Dillon, going to Petty to drive the 42, which GMS Jermaine from the Truck Series bought either majority stake or whatever to it. They've been with RCR Motors in the Truck Series forever. It's kind of been a feeder. It's kind of been a feeder truck for them.
They need to put the mellow yellow back on the side of that thing.
That would be badass if they put the bottom line. It would be badass.
Absolutely.
So we can get close to wrapping this up, but who's y'all's picks for the Clash?
Whoever's car is still running.
You think it's going
to be honest? Look, man, if they race the way they raced on, going 200 miles an hour, what do you think they're going to do on a quarter-mile track where it's just money to win? They are going to run each other. I want to see the setup on what they're going to do with the cars whenever they don't run anymore, because they're inside of a football stadium essentially.
I'm thinking you break and you're done kind of thing. There's nowhere to do work on the car on the inside. You break and you're done.
But you could be like Frankenstein out there. You could have, if you can't work on it, and if there's a
5 minute clock, 5 minute clock.
Yeah, but it's going to be a war of attrition. You're going to have some short track drivers who are up there who can just flat out race. But at the end
Ricky
of the
Rudd
day,
and Rusty Wallace. Ricky Rudd and Rusty.
but I mean, like, look, I mean, Kyle Larson, I don't care. I would bet on that man in a foot race. I mean, it don't even matter. He wins everything, and he's just a wheel man, and that's what he does. So if you don't put money on him, I think you're dumb, just from a sheer standpoint of the drivability. But this is up in the air. I can't wait to see the odds on the Clash. You know what? Let me take a gander and see if they have odds to win the Clash, because
they
that
do.
should be interesting. Dave, what you got?
What do I got?
Truex
Okay.
and Hamlin are co-favorites.
Yeah,
Plus 50.
I was kind of thinking Hamlin.
Yeah, you got
Really?
Chase
He's very good.
Elliott
He's very good at
Busch.
Martinsville.
That's true.
And then you
I
got,
mean, I think my dark horse for the race is going to be Tyler Reddick.
Can we real quick? Can we admire the fact that the Clash is sponsored by Busch Light and it's in LA Coliseum?
Well, it's been
they
sponsored
got to
by
put the Southern ting on it.
Well,
Right.
before it was the Bud Shootout, back in the day it used to be called the Clash, and then Busch sponsored it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, because when we were kids, it was the Bud Shootout. But I mean, my dark horse is Reddick. If I was putting money on it, which I probably will, it'll probably be Denny Hamlin to win. The big issue they're running into is that they have finite amount of parts for these cars, where they're all from vendors. So like the chassis made by Dallara, the lug nuts are made. The lug nuts are made by RCR. They make them for all the teams. Like they get all these contracts. So the rack and pinion steering, I don't know who makes it, but they only got so many parts for these finite amount. So they might be a little timid coming out. But I guess when it comes down to the final 5,
what's the purse to win this whole thing? I haven't even seen that.
I have absolutely no idea. I don't even know if they've posted that yet. They're kind of secretive on some of this stuff. Let me look. Lairdman, who do you think? Who do you got looking at the odds and whatnot?
Hamlin's looking good. I mean, Chase Elliott wouldn't be a bad look either, especially if he can avoid the accidents. But it's hard to say. It's like you guys are saying. I mean, it's just going to be kind of a who can outlast everybody else type deal. It should be interesting for sure.
So Adam Stern on Twitter, it's not confirmed, but it's just shy of $2 million for the purse. So you would think the winner would get $1 million, and then they would dilly-dally it up after that.
Yeah, that's a lot of money not to run straight through somebody's ass.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're doing 4 heat races, and then a last chance qualifier. The main Clash, the main race, I think is only 24 teams. 24 cars.
23
cars.
or 24, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, I don't know if the track's big enough to have anything more than that on it. But
well, my pick's Tyler Reddick.
You going with Reddick?
Yeah.
Old Tyler Reddick.
Dark horse.
There you go.
Man.
Well, y'all got anything else? We'll wrap this up for the first episode. They might get a little longer when we start doing race reviews, talking about what we think. But this is just a little short tidbit of what's going to happen.
We're going to talk about Greg Biffle coming back tomorrow.
Mr. 69 himself. Wine him, dine him, 69 him. Greg Biffle.
That's it.
This is the GrandStand Boyz. We'll see y'all next week. Weekly podcast coming out. YouTube clips coming out. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you.